International sales is essentially, as one would imagine from a name, is selling film rights internationally in each different territory around the world. And the whole international sales is a relatively new phenomena. It kind of started in the, I guess, to a major extent in the 60s when sort of the American studios realized there was income to be sought from international territories and an international market for films. And at the moment, it's a very integral part in financing a film and producing a film, because it's very rare to make a film just for one territory, basically, just for a UK, for example, the UK. You've got to, increasingly producers have to look to see what income it will bring back from around the world. And that's, we all at the financing Show Me the Money seminar in Leeds, okay. Well, you know, but basically on that model that I drew there, the revenue from a film is really dictated by the numbers, the value that a sales company gives it from territories around the world, from exploitation around the world. So so in order to finance and produce a film, you've got to pitch it to a sales company who will then take it on board and then sell it internationally for you, and also represent it to financiers. So it's a very, very important part of the whole film business, because when you're thinking about what kind of film you're making, you've got to also think, okay, is it going to work in the home territory, which is obviously the UK, and is it going to work internationally as a film? Because I would say it's quite difficult to make a film just for a home territory in this market, unless it's being fully funded by Channel 4 or the BBC. So you've got to really think, has it got a chance of an American release? Has it got a chance of a French release? Has it got a chance of working internationally? And so that's one thing I really want to talk about today, and especially when you're pitching projects, how to make the pitch exciting and relevant for international buyers. At the moment, if you came to a sales company with a project, you would expect the project to be pre-sold in a couple of territories to help raise money for the budget. And the pre-selling is always very, very difficult, because essentially you are saying to a territory, I want you to pre-buy this film for quite a significant amount of money, on the basis that it's going to turn out how we say it's going to turn out, and with a cast that we say is going to be in it. And obviously there are things which you can't sort of say with much surety at the time. So sales companies are very sensitive to the casting process, because it's their reputation. So if I go to Sony, or Sam goes to Sony with one of your projects, and you've told us that it's got Brad Pitt in it, and then Sony then pre-buy it basically for $1 million for the UK or whatever, and then Brad Pitt doesn't turn out to be in it, then obviously it's a problem, and Sony aren't going to take the sales company at their word on the next film, because it hasn't happened, you haven't delivered. So it's a very sensitive, and a lot of it comes down to producerial relationships and that type of thing. Assuming you have got a project which is ready and it's packaged, and you've got a really strong pitch with a very easily identifiable concept, and a good cast, and the sales company goes out to the international market with it, you then you look at which territories are pre-buying. Germany's very good at the moment, and America, for the right project, you can get a good pre-sell in, and also Benelux. Spain, for example, is not selling at the moment at all, and this is all distributor sales company knowledge, which you go to your sales company and you say, what's working where. So if you say Germany, for example, that's pre-buying at the moment, that's good. They're really into, at the moment, sort of thriller genre is a very good is a very good project with the Germans for some reason. But I mean, again, it could be comedies next year. It could be. It's so reductionist. I mean, a sales company will reduce your project intensely and just say, who's in it? What's the concept? Can you describe it in 2 lines, basically? What's the genre? And that you will just think, oh God, it's a sales company just trampling over my artistic work, and it's just terrible. But then when the sales company goes for a distributor, they are 20 times worse. All they will say is, who's in it? What's the genre? Has it got a hook? Basically. So that's what you're up against. From a distributor's point of view, film marketing is really based on 2 key things. One is word of mouth, and having an easily communicable concept is really valuable to a distributor, because it's someone coming out of the cinema telling their mates, and also the trailer. They're the 2 key things, and obviously the artwork and the image, they're the key elements which makes a film work as an end user. And all of this, in terms of pitching, is making you think about the end user. It's the person going to the cinema, paying £7 or $10 or whatever to go to the cinema. And each stage of a business, basically, is helping you refine your pitch to for the end user and your punter. So the sales company has got to take your project and re-pitch it, basically, to the distributor in each of the different territories. And then when the distributor takes it on, they've got to then sell it to the audience. So if you are starting as a producer with a pitch which is a bit confused, which is a bit overly complicated, which is the wrong genre for the market at the moment, or the wrong budget, you can see how at each stage you go down, the problems get more and more severe. So if you start off with something that's really good, which is a great pitch, basically, and the sales company think, yeah, that's a great pitch, it's really easy, we can then go and sell that to a distributor, and they're going to get it straight away. Then the distributor will then, when it's pitched to the distributor, they'll then say, yeah, I get it, it's really easy to market this to our end user. And the problem in 95% of pitches we get as a sales company is that there's no immediate hook that a distributor can think, yes, that's it. I can see immediately how to market this film. Pre-selling the script stage is obviously helps getting a film made. And then during production, I think this is the best time to pre-sell a film, is when it's during production. If you've got a trailer from during the cut, that's absolutely the best time to sell a film, because you have filmed some of it, so you can show distributors it's real. The trailer at that stage will almost certainly look better than the completed film, because you can make a trailer look absolutely amazing. So that's the ideal sort of thing to do. And then when the film's finished, obviously if you get a good festival slot at Toronto or one of the film markets, and there's more than one buyer that wants your film, then you're in a bidding war situation, and that's rare, but it can really work. And then after that, you've got various other bites of the cherry as well. So if a film really works in the UK, for example, Bend It Like Beckham, for example, big hit in the UK, that didn't pre-sell anywhere, even as a completed film. All the buyers saw it, didn't buy it. But then because it went great guns in the UK, it then international territories then started paying attention and bought it. So there's no real rule, but the key value from the international market is really for pre-selling your projects. It's number one, giving you sales estimates of what the film's worth, which you can then use to finance a film and base your budget level on and that kind of thing. Two, pre-selling a couple of territories, which will then allow the rest of the finance to have confidence that it's a marketable asset you're making and not something else. And then three, realizing income from a film once it's made to recoup the money from the investors. And also, increasingly, it's very much, very much, we work incredibly closely with producers now to make sure that they are making a film that people want to go and see, that's a marketable asset, that's got the best chance of selling internationally. Because our business is commission-based, so if it doesn't sell internationally, then we're not going to make any money. So we really do work closely. We get very involved in casting to give, because, okay, sorry, to go back a stage, sales estimates are based almost exclusively on the cast you have in a film. Genre and cast you've got in a film. And that, I think, is a very kind of inefficient way to do sales estimates, because then you can say to me, okay, look at the last 5 massive films that performed well in the UK. You know, say, Waking Ned, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, East is East, Full Monty. None of those had cast in. None of them were cast driven, but they went great bananas on box office. So it's a bit of a weird for then me to say to you, who's in the film, we're basing all our numbers on that. But that's the way it works. If you pre-sell too many territories, then, as Hugo quite rightly points out, you're not going to be able to. The financiers will say, okay, where are we going to recoup from? So once you sell a territory, that's a very good question. It's where does the money come from? So if you pre-sell France, you will get a minimum guarantee, which is cash up front, which is one you take to the bank or whoever, and you can use as part of your production budget. And that would be, you may get, on a £3 million film, you might get $300,000 from France as a good, which would be a good pre-sale in France. And then obviously the overages come through in a similar way to the UK. So once you're on a profit share in effect with a distributor after their costs come back. But due to distributors' accounting and whatever, you usually discount that. So financiers, when they're financing a film, will really just look at the minimum guarantees which could come in internationally. So I think, the other thing just to say on pre-selling, genre is very, very important. Dramas, which again is ironic, because The King's Speech is a drama, and that's just gone bananas with box office. But the genre is very important. So if you're doing everyone was wanting to do low-budget horrors until quite recently, because they were perceived as being quite easy to pre-sell. So if you're in a very defined genre, whatever it is, comedy, horror, action, that helps. If you're crossing genre, then it becomes a problem for distributors, because again, you don't fit into their box. And it's all about, if you look at love film and how they, it's all genre driven. If you don't fit into a particular one of their genre boxes, it's difficult for distributors. And again, it's always the exception that proves the rule. But if you talk to any sales company, they will be very conscious of whatever film you're producing, that it completely fits into a genre.